30 more seconds, 15 more seconds. Mr. Turner, if you could check to see if Janelle Wilk is texting to be let in. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to convene the July 26, 2021 meeting of the Watertown Board of Education. Welcome to all those members of the public attending both in person and virtually this evening. I'd also like to welcome three very special guests. We have Mr. Bob LeBon Jr., we have Ms. Christine Feressa, both who will be presenting a generous donation this evening, and our new John Trumbull Primary School Assistant Principal, who will meet later, Ms. Allison Carmody and family. So thank you all for being here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Taylor?
Good evening. Ms. Rinaldi? Ms. Wilk? Ms. Crotty?
Here.
Ms. Eastman?
Here.
Ms. Hoskin? Here. Mr. Matowski? Mr. Malaguchi?
Here.
Ms. Rosa?
Here.
And Ms. Flaherty, Mr. Flaherty?
Here.
Just one note, Mrs. Taylor, we do have Janelle Wilk. She is trying to get onto the call, so once you see her live, we can mark her as present. Thank you very much. Do we have a motion for the board meeting minutes from June 28th, 2021?
Yes, Madam Chair. I move that the board approve of the June 28th, 2021 regular meeting minutes as prepared by Ms. Davidson.
Thank you, Mrs. Hosking. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Flaherty. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. With permission from my fellow board members, I would like to move item G up at this time, if that is okay with everybody here.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. This evening, we have Mr. Bob LeBon Jr. here to present a very generous donation to the Watertown Board of Education. It certainly isn't the first time that LeBon's has donated to our school system, and tonight they have a very large donation. So please welcome Mr. Bob LeBon Jr.
So first, I'd like to bring up Linda Morris. She's our store director for the Watertown store. She's been with me 25 years.
Wow. Wow. Welcome.
She started when she was 6. You know, child labor laws don't apply to LeBon's. So I'm confused. I thought the check was already sent. You probably heard this before, and this was just a recognition for it. So I don't have the check, but I assume it was already sent. So.
Oh, absolutely. We had discussed the giant check, but actually this makes it a lot easier. We don't have to carry that heavy check back to the Monsoon house tonight. This is good.
Great. So how this started is when the bag law came out is we just decided that we always gave nickels back for people that, chose to return their bags. And with the state law changing with eliminating the plastic bags, so let's turn it into a good thing, as a lot of people. So when that law changed 2 years ago, we said, let's give it back to the schools. Schools are all struggling to meet their budgets. So we decided to put those nickels for the last year and a half towards the education departments in all 4 towns. And I think collectively it's close to almost $50,000 we've given back to all the towns.
Wow.
And really, it's not just LeBon's, it's our customers. And so we're just happy to be a part of this town. We've been in Watertown since 1962. My grandfather and father started their business in a store of 20 by 40 feet, so half the size of this room. And Brian spent a lot of his early years there. His nickname was Clark because he looked like Clark Kent. So make sure that's in the minutes. So we're happy, and I will get the check to you tomorrow, I promise. I just thought the check was meant, and you just wanted to be acknowledged for it, so I'd like Linda to say a few words. She's the one that makes it happen with her 140 people in Watertown, and I'm just the guy who gets to say a few words.
Thank you.
Boy, this was unexpected. Hi, hello. We have some amazing customers, and I think that's the biggest part of everything, is that they are super generous. And as a lot of you know, with the fundraisers that they're done in the vestibule, that our customers are super generous. And so we've heard no slack about us trying to do the donations for paper bags or any type of, donations that we can come up with. So it really is about the customers. They're the ones that really do support the town. So it's them that really deserve the recognition.
And I want to thank Leslie for, I asked her, is there any chance that we could not wait till 10:30, because I know you guys like hanging out here. She moved us up on the agenda. Tomorrow we have our it's technically our 35th annual, but last year with COVID didn't have it, so it's 35 years, but our 35th annual tournament, and we're hoping to raise $40,000, and all that money goes back to Watertown and the other towns and the food banks. That's our #1 charity. So we've crossed over the $500,000 that we've donated to the local food banks, through our golf tournament. So thank you for this opportunity, and Linda will drop the check off tomorrow for sure.
Well, just in case you weren't sure, thank you very much for the $3,750 donation from the bonds. We will put it to really good use, and we really appreciate it. Your commitment to the community and the public schools has been longstanding, and we continue to reap the benefits of that. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Yep. Would you mind just coming back up here in front of the desk to take a photo with us? Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
while they do.
Oh, please. Clark?
Yeah. Notwithstanding your, by the way, we'll wait if you want to go get the check. No. Generations of your family have built this town, and there are generations of people who grew up here, who live here and thrive here because you have all made it better. Thank you.
I just, sharing that story, Mark Chernouskas, is he close to what year did you graduate from Watertown, Brian?
I graduated from Holy Cross.
That's right, Watertown wasn't good enough, he had to go to Holy
1983.
Cross. What year?
83.
Okay, so Mark Chernouskas worked for us from 1978 to 81, and a young man, he was 140 pounds, soaking wet, shy, quiet, introverted, and he worked in the deli in the meat department, and his nickname was the Colonel. So I hadn't seen him in years, and I saw his dad in a golf tournament at Watertown Country Club, and he said Mark was visiting over the weekend, and he said, Dad, I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for my 3.5 years at Le Mans. I was shy, quiet, introverted, and they taught me work ethic, leadership, discipline, customer service, all the skills that helped me in life. It wasn't my undergrad and my graduate. It was Le Mans that helped me grow. So I hadn't seen Mark, and his dad shared the story, and I teach a class at Wamoga every year on business and interviewing for jobs and how you start matters. And then 2 years ago, Mark Chernouskas comes in after 40 years. I recognized him right away. I said, Mark, your dad told me the story 10, 12 years ago. I've been sharing it with kids. And he's walking around, he sees pictures of my grandfather. He goes, your grandfather was so grumpy. Your brother-in-law was always getting cut. And I said, I know you had a good job. I said, what was your job? Well, he just retired after 32 years with GE. He was a global executive vice president in charge of world operations for General Electric. Wow. And he gives all his credit and success in life for his 3.5 years at Le Mans. So we love helping kids grow, and that's one of my goals now, is to help them find their dream job and see if they do decide to leave beyond Le Mans. So we're just happy to be a part of this town, and we're never leaving.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We're going to take a quick photo.
Come out to the front.
Front?
Come on in, Linda.
Yes.
Clip art.
Yeah. We can do that. Thank you. Good luck with the tournament.
Thank you.
Take care, thank you very much. Appreciate it, thank you so much, appreciate it.
use my phone? If you wouldn't mind, we're just going to take a brief recess to assist a board member to be able to be part of the meeting. Okay, so she's not answering. Okay. So if you want to continue to try, or somebody else continue to try, so that she could be on speakerphone or FaceTime, I will move on. We'll let one of the board members do it. All right, moving on the agenda to item E, our superintendent's recommendation and report.
All right, good evening, everyone. I hope summer vacation is going well and that you've had some time to just relax. It's officially the last week of July. Who would have thought it would have gone that quickly? So tonight, I'm super happy to share that over the last couple of weeks, we've had a positive turnout to our mental health and rejuvenation workshops that we were calling the Summer Stress Buster series. We offered to the WPS community and faculty alike workshops around, a workshop that we partnered with a little organization called the Angel Cooperative, and they offered sound healing and Reiki sessions. So it's just kind of like becoming mindful, zenning out, and refreshing for the new year. In addition, we also worked with CMHA, where they were offering a couple of workshops called Compassion Fatigue, and they were offering us kind of a counseling type model to bring us back into the right headspace. We didn't quite have enough enrollment to have those up and running, but we're happy that we were able to offer them, and we will offer them once again in August for all of our WPS faculty and community as well to take part in. So we're excited about that. Just also part of my update is hot off the press. Today, the CSDE just released their interim recommendations for COVID-19 prevention in Connecticut's pre-K to 12 schools, just earlier today. So we're going to start moving through those recommendations shortly to update our reopening plans. I do want to stress, however, that they put in their document that the CSD has stated that updates to mask guidance for the fall 2021 school year will still be finalized in the coming weeks. So that wasn't quite included in that presentation, so we're still waiting on that. On July 13th, I see Vice Chair Wilk coming in right now. On July 13th, we had the privilege of Vice Chairwoman Wilk join us on a facilities walkthrough of Watertown High School and John Trumbull Primary, and then the facilities manager, Gino Fiella, and myself moved on to Judson Elementary after that. Our primary goal for the facilities walkthrough was ultimately to show the top 3 to 5 items or needs in each of those buildings. Although it's easy to have a super long list of all the things that we know we need to fix up in a building, whether it's a school building or perhaps my own house. I know that it's necessary to kind of move through in a systematic way. So we considered budget and we considered what we were prioritizing as we were moving through. So with that, we welcomed Mrs. Wilk in to see the urgent projects at WHS, which included a very leaky roof situation, areas in the building where the flooring was beginning to bubble up, and areas where lighting in and both outside of the buildings really were either completely out or just non-existent. So for WHS, the WHS roof, the reason for the leaking, is something that is on our current capital improvement plan. That, again, I've reached out to the town that we'll start those conversations soon. And Mr. Fiella has also started a plan on how to basically assess the flooring repairs that need to be done. So he'll begin bringing in contractors to see just what the magnitude and the scope of the work will be. As for the lighting, we had an opportunity this year to engage in a security grant, a very large security grant that would have a 60-40% offset if we were approved for it. And so those lighting pieces that were out or non-existent in the back, we actually had put into the security grant. So we have our fingers crossed that we will be approved for that. As for JTPS, as much as there were also prioritized items that needed immediate attention, again, another leaky few sections of roofing, and bubbling and cracking floor tiles. And I see Ms. Mecca in the audience tonight. She can certainly attest to that. JTPS also showed the need for really cosmetic attention and renovations such as flooring and painting, little fixtures and that kind of stuff. And so, you know, at first glance, one could say, oh, this is a really easy project. I can do this myself. When are we painting? It is on our minds and as a smaller project for us to move through, but also it is an opportunity for us to take a look at our personnel capacity. Also, the time and effort that it takes to be able to do that job while we're also getting ready to reopen. So I have charged Mr. Fiella to create ultimately some sort of cycle so that we can address those cosmetic pieces, because a fresh coat of paint is something that we shouldn't have to think too hard about. And so once he does create something that's a little more consistent and more cyclical, then we look forward to working with Principal Mecca and the other principals to be able to do that work. And the roof at John Trumbull Primary is also part of our larger capital improvement plan, and so that was also resubmitted as well to the town. Other part too is, of course, I just want to make sure I assure everybody when I talk about facilities that if there's ever an emergency or if there's something that needs to be fixed right away, we will immediately fix it, because safety of our students is number one priority. So if there's something there that's not right, that will be, you know, whether it's budget or not, will be attended, because if it's going to impact our students in that way, we will address it. Also, my most recent letter to the community was once again just sending along a friendly reminder that vaccinations really are the number one way to prevent the spread of COVID-19. And as fully vaccinated individuals for this coming academic year, they can ultimately remain in school and things like athletics and extracurricular activities. In addition, if students are just getting their first dose of vaccines this week or next week, they will be able to eventually get their second dose before even school starts or during that first week, and they'll be considered fully vaccinated. So the CSDE as well as CDC and DPH continue to encourage the superintendents to encourage our communities to go ahead and go out there for vaccinations to our larger communities if they are eligible. And then as the new year starts, I will once again start working with our local health department, Torrington, to start creating some vaccine clinics within house here in our district. That's pretty much for my update. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any members of the board have any questions for Dr. Villanueva?
Yes, hi, through the chair.
Go ahead, Mrs.
I
Wick.
apologize, I'm coming in late. Dr. Villanueva, I do have a question, and I appreciate all the follow-up. When we did the walkthroughs, the one, I appreciate the feedback of the concerns that we all had in question. I don't know if you had said this, there was an area in John Trumbull, the flooring that was addressed and was supposed to be corrected right then. I was just wondering if there was a follow-up, or it doesn't have to be answered right now, but I was just following up on that.
Absolutely, Ms. Welk. So you're right, there were some cracks in the floor as well, a couple of areas that were bubbling up. So Mr. Fiella has reached out to our contractor to basically get an assessment and what cost it would take to get that fixed up and what the people hours it would take to do so. So once we get that information, I'd be happy to share that with the Board of Education.
Perfect, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Dr. Villanueva? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item F, public participation. Do any members of the public wish to address the board this evening? Okay, any members virtually wish to address the board this evening? Okay, there will be another round of public participation later on in the evening. Moving on to item H, Sun, Moon, and Stars, presentation of a gift. We have Mrs. Christine Feressa, founder and president of Sun, Moon, and Stars, here this evening to present a check to the Office of Student Services at Watertown Public Schools. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So Sun, Moon, and Stars, as some of you know, maybe not all of you know, we're an autism support group that's located here in Watertown. And we do provide a lot of fun activities and support to our local community and surrounding communities. We made a decision this year for a variety of reasons that we really wanted to find a way to really give back. We have amazing partnerships and collaborations within our Watertown community, and one of the strongest ones we have is with Watertown Public Schools. So we wanted to find a way, so I called Annette Dillon and I said, what can we do for special education that we can give back that affects every single school? So we came up with something. So it's a program geared towards SPED. It's emotional learning. So this is what we wanted to give back to public schools to help our students, especially considering the difficult year and a half that we've all had. So we're very happy, Sun, Moon, and Stars, to present this check of $1,350
for this programming that will affect every single school in the district. So.
Yes, please.
I brought a check.
Yes, we need that official handoff. And then we'll take a group photo. But while we're recreating that, I just want to share that, as Mrs. Faressa said, we do have a variety of collaborations that we've done with Sun, Moon, and Stars in the district. And we're really thrilled that you've chosen to take some of the funds from your organization to give back to the schools, and in particular the special education department. We thank you very much. I know in this day and age, especially with fundraising, it's a lot of hard-earned money, and we will put it to good use. So thank you very much. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, right, and then we'll just come right up to the front.
Should we stand in front of the screen so Josephine and Janelle can get in?
You could, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm very excited.
Thank you, Mrs. Sam.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Christine. Yes. Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you. Very welcome, very welcome.
Recently, in a special meeting of the Board of Education, board members had the distinct pleasure of interviewing final candidates for our John Trumbull Primary School assistant principal role. And this evening, we would like to welcome her officially to Watertown Public Schools. Dr. Villanueva?
So it is with great pleasure that I introduce Ms. Allison Carmody tonight as the new assistant principal of John Trumbull Primary School. Ms. Carmody will be starting with us officially on Monday, August 16th. And I'll just read a little bit about her bio. So Ms. Carmody was most recently an elementary supervisor, also known as an assistant principal, at Ridgebury and Farmingville Elementary Schools in Bridgefield, Connecticut. She led their special education teams through the PPT process and oversaw the development and implementation of IEPs. She also led multi-tiered support service, MTSS, meetings and worked with faculty to implement interventions, progress monitoring tools, the enrichment opportunities for students, and among a number of other initiatives. Prior to being named assistant principal, Ms. Carmody was also a literacy coach at Branchville Elementary and then promoted to the lead elementary literacy coach for the district in all of Richfield, Connecticut. She is definitely dedicated to developing strong, trusting relationships with families where the child's best interest is always at the forefront of a partnership. And she looks forward to collaborating and reflecting with teachers and believes in her own continuous professional growth and is ready to learn and take chances alongside at JTPS to positively impact student learning with Principal Mecca. And so we are all thrilled that she's joining us this year and for many more to come. So please join me in welcoming Ms. Carmody to the Watertown Public Schools.
And if you'd like to say a few things, sure. I just wanted to say thank you so much for this opportunity. I am so excited to join the Watertown community. I know several students who are current in John Trumbull or families who have passed through, and there are so many positive things, and I just feel as though a lot of the work that I've been doing over the past few years have really aligned to the initiatives that Watertown is working on. So I just can't wait to come in, see why everybody loves this school as much as they do and this district as much as they do for myself, and just be part of it. So I just want to say thank you for this. I live very close to the community. I look forward to being part of this community as well, whether it's in school, outside of school. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And I see that, Ms. Carmody, I think your family is with you, and Ms. Mecca is sitting right there. If you'd all be interested in taking a photo with us, please come on up right to the front.
Thank you.
If it's in the paper, I'll send it to you. Thank you, Louise.
Congratulations. We're so glad you're here.
Oh, I'm so happy. Thank you.
Yes, definitely.
Allison, will you send that to me so I can tweet that?
Probably come out of summer. Okay.
Moving on to item J in our agenda, items of discussion. First is teaching and learning, an update from Dr. Villanueva.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, so this summer has really provided myself and the cabinet team some time to work over the last few weeks, and I just put some notes down here because there's a lot for me to remember. Ultimately, this summer, we've been digesting information just from last year, and we're crystallizing what we've heard, what we've observed in a lot of our buildings. And we're making sure two main things, that we have some structural capacity, and we're building human capacity with the intent to ultimately positively impact students and move our instructional experience forward. So with that, we are looking at, and I'm excited to talk about these in the next coming meetings, about how we're going to be increasing student mental health support, offering a little bit more student choice, looking at our programming. And again, not big swings, but little steps here and there that are going to be multi-year and moving forward. But it's already starting to happen, and it's very exciting, and it's very energizing. I can give one example this evening. At the middle school level, we do have an adjusted and new schedule that's going to be in our middle school at Swift. And because of that adjusted schedule and, some really creative thinking from our principals and our administrative team, as well as our director of curriculum, just really looking to the future and down the road, we are now next year able to offer foreign language at a 7th grade level, which we have not been able to do. Yay, that's an applause.
That's huge.
And we're going to keep chipping away and making steps so that we can continue forward with that. But I think that's, even though it's just one little thing, it's going to offer that piece.
It's a big step.
So our 7th graders will have a chance to take foreign language in one of the trimesters, and then we'll try to grow that program. In addition to that, we have some more support coming up to the high school, and we're going to be partnering with CMHA. And they're going to provide some additional clinical support and support for students and families with a focus specifically on really truancy and mental health concerns. So this is good because we're coming off a year of COVID where there's been a lot, and we're really trying to engage our students back again to come back to school. What is also very exciting is that this coming August, early on, the administrative team, all the principals, assistant principals will come together for our administrative retreat. And I look forward to basically the work we have ahead of us together as a team. So we're not only going to be planning the logistics of reopening, but we're also going to be looking to be inspired ourselves and energized to take informed steps towards, high impact programming that I know is going to benefit our students after COVID and in the long run. So I just wanted to share that little piece there, and I thought that was very exciting. In addition, in the last couple of weeks and in your board packets, you would have seen, and it's online as well, a joint statement from the CSDE and the CEA, which is our teachers union, American Federation of Teachers, CAPS, our Connecticut Association of School Superintendents, so on and so forth, that released 2 joint statements on what culturally responsive education is and how districts can support all children. So with that, I wanted to actually bring something to the board's attention, and you'll see a document with a green stripe moving through it. It's called Seeds of Civility. Now, this is not our document. This is actually from another school district in Connecticut called the Ellington Public Schools. But, I read this and I looked at it, and very quickly it just kind of spoke to me, because you can see right off the bat there's 6 very kind of simple yet very just civil ways of saying we listen, observe, and reflect. We allow for emotional reactions. We, assume good intentions, we speak our truths, we come face to face, we find similarities, we value differences, we debate the issue, and we respect the person. And I thought that this document was really important because it then reminded me of what we have here in-house, which is the Watertown Public Schools vision of a graduate. And you have that in your packet today as well. And this is not something new to our community, but ultimately we talk about the characteristics and skills that we want to cultivate within our K-12, pre-K-12 experience here for our students. Characteristics like making sure that students are curious and empathetic, persistent, flexible, and reflective. Skills where they can think critically themselves, communicate effectively, collaborate productively, create bravely, and to lead responsibly. So when I put the Seeds of Civility document from Ellington schools and our vision of the graduate together, and much of the work that is coming together through our school district, I haven't been able to find a policy really that we have that supports this kind of work further. So what I am presenting you today is a draft policy around the teaching and learning of multiple perspectives on current and historical events. And the intent of this policy is really to harness our vision of the graduate, the statements in which the CEA has provided around a culturally responsive education, and ultimately where it is that we're trying to go. Now, again, this is a work in progress. This is something that will engage our administrative team, our faculty, our community in the coming weeks and months. But what this does do is it gives us a way to say that our vision of the graduate is not just a list of characteristics and skills. It is kind of a beacon that is going to be our North Star on how we really create individual thinkers. People who can come up with their own ideas and their own opinions and have the bravery and the courage to say what they think. And so I give that to you today to just take a glance at. It's actually towards, there it is right there. Yep. And I'll give you just a moment to kind of peer through it. And if you have any questions that come up, please do let me know, and I'm happy to talk through it. So as you guys are finishing up, the intent of this policy is then for us to really kind of define how we will cultivate this type of facilitated discussion, as well as just where we're going with our vision of the graduate. And then to also, again, engage the community and the faculty and administration in this work. So it talks a little bit about the environment, talks a little bit about curriculum, and it talks a little bit about those characteristics and skills. So happy to go into discussion if there are some questions.
Well, first, I'd like to thank you for bringing the board along in the process this early. I think to bring us a draft of where you'd like to recommend us heading for a policy is wonderful to see it this early, and I look forward to the feedback from the administration and the rest of your leadership team. I think it's a great direction for us to go in, particularly paired with a document like Seeds of Civility, to help students and staff have discussions about how we engage in discussion, how discussions are facilitated in the classroom, and the impartiality that the teachers have to present in those matters. So I've had a little bit more time than the rest of the board members, with the exception, I think, of Brian, to see this. So do any board members have any comments they want to make about it or questions at this initial stage?
Madam
Mr.
Chair.
Flaherty?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And through you, thank you, Dr. Villanueva, for bringing this forward. You know, words matter. And the confidence that the school system and this board develops with the families and the parents, the taxpayers, the voters that we ultimately report to matters. And this process of basically transparently saying we need a policy. We talked and we had some feedback in different last couple of meetings from the public looking to come up with a list through all great intentions of the concept of the day, things that may be divisive, that may engender different points of view. What I like about this approach and what I see in this, the seeds of civility and in your draft, is rather than come up with a list, because 20 years ago it was outcome-based education, or it was, you know, No Child Left Behind, or Common Core, standardized tests. This basically says this is the clear way our school system will handle concepts, current events, and historical events that we teach that have different points of view, and how we model that behavior and how we prepare our students to engage the world, where they will bring their points of view and need to be confident about them, and where they will face and all sorts of other points of view, to be able, and I think you use the words critical thinking, to be able to say, all right, how do I respect your point of view, let me understand it, and then decide whether or not I agree, and then express my own. So I thank you for that, because I also think that rather than giving it the buzzword, we're talking respect. I think everybody knows what that is. Civility, honesty, safety. We want to build curiosity in these students, and critical thinking and courtesy. It's, I echo our chair's comments to be able to discuss it today, to begin that process of drafting, to bring people along, to be able to work and maybe hammer it out together. I think we end up in a better place, and I think we end up with that confidence in what's happening and to how teaching and learning is handled in the Watertown Public Schools. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other board members have any comments or questions about it?
I'll just, through the chair, echo what Mr. Flaherty said. I think it's nice to have kind of an interwoven. We have a lot of resources. You know, we have our district, you know, curriculum working on it. We have our administrators working on it. It's supported by other school districts in the state and the State Department of Ed, and I think it's a really nice, strong way to provide the environment that you mentioned, so that this can be possible in our district. So thank you.
Okay. And I just want to make sure that Mrs. Wilk and Mrs. Rosa have a chance if they have any questions or comments. All set? Okay. I think moving forward, initially, you know, I agree with everything that Mr. Flaherty shared. I think tying discussions to our curriculum is important, and the nonpartisan, impartial manner in which things are facilitated, and teaching our students and modeling to our students the civility and the respect and all of those important characteristics that Brian mentioned and that are in our vision of a graduate, which the community built with us. That vision wasn't our vision. It was the collective vision of the town and our staff and our leadership and the board. So I think tying all that in together is really wonderful, and it could really go a long way. I see this as being something that, you know, something like the Seeds of Civility document is something that everybody could sign, that we could have, you know, a lot of things could center around something like this, and not just in a U.S. history class, but in everything that we do, and in everything that we share together in the district. So I'm really thrilled that this work is happening. If board members have, when you have more time to go through this again, on your own. If you have questions or comments or concerns, please share them with me. I'll make sure that Dr. Villanueva is ready to respond to them at the next board meeting.
Through the chair, I just want to resonate also what Brian said, and Cindy. I think the seeds really spells out it pretty perfectly there. I mean, find the differences, respect them, and others assume good intentions. So that's what I've been doing, is just reading through all these and just playing in my mind how much they could play out in our own community and how they could help us moving forward. And especially what I mentioned about social media, talking face to face. Just from our own experiences, I feel like things go on social media and people go down tangents there, but when you see people in person, that's when things really, you talk them out and you respect each other. And that's what it's about. You could have a difference of opinion there, but just respect each other's opinion, assume good intentions also. So.
Thank you, Mr. Malaguti. Anybody else? Mrs. Hosky?
I don't know which mic to talk into. Because I want to face you face to face. I just want to say that it opens up that dialogue. And I know Chairman Crotty just talked about the vision of a graduate and working together as a community. But we've heard so much that I think is centered in the unknown. And this almost helps to set boundaries. And I think from both sides, for parents and our staff, there's no more questions. You know, there's no more trying to hear the words that aren't said and feel like there's something hidden. I really like the idea, and I echo the word transparency, in the sense that there are difficult topics to talk about, but it shouldn't be one-sided, and it's not going to be, children aren't going to be indoctrinated, they're going to be allowed to express. And, you know, and that's shaped at home, and that comes into the school, and just the value of hearing from so many voices in a way that it can be heard is essential. So I'm very excited to move forward. And I liked when Chairman Crotty just said, like, even something signed. I know everybody just rolls their eyes about pledges and whatnot, but I really do see this as the backbone. Like, I think even when we sit here and interchange and not only, or not always agree, we are those models. And so when I was in the classroom, I always said, I'm not going to ask you to do anything that I wouldn't myself be comfortable with doing. And that echoes that open communication and that respect that we all should be demonstrating. So I'm glad that we get to see it early, and I look forward to where it will all, you know, how it will develop and where it will all be in place and used.
Wonderful, thank you. So again, I will bring everybody along as we move through the next draft.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Villanueva. Okay, moving on to a very different subject, the Watertown Public Schools heating and oil rates. Believe in your documents. We have contracts, terms, and conditions, and Mr. Fiello shared with us how this contract came to be, and I believe they won the state bid. Is that correct, in the consortium?
I believe so, that is correct.
Yeah.
Yes, Dime Oil.
Okay, just want to flip to that really quickly.
And he wanted me to remind you
Yes.
that he's very proud of this, that he verbally locked in, a verbal lock-in on Monday, July 19th at $2.09.
Oh, he did.
And then well, it's a verbal, so if it's not
Yeah.
approved, then, you know, that's fine. But then by Friday, it was already up to $2.14. So I said, if I didn't lock in on Monday. Right, so he's very happy about that.
Okay. Do board members have any questions about the rates and the contract? Has everybody had a chance to review it? I know you received it in your packet on Friday. So we'll be asked to vote on this later on. I think this is the best rate that we're going to get,
That's right, yeah.
and service as well. Any questions? Okay. Any questions from Mrs. Wilk or Mrs. Rosa? All right. Moving on to item K, communications. On behalf of Secretary Rinaldi, there are no communications to report. And moving on to item L for committee reports. Chair of Curriculum and Instruction, Mrs. Rinaldi, I have nothing on her behalf this evening. Mrs. Wilk, do you have anything from Policy and Labor?
Nothing to report this time.
Okay, and from Mr. Makowski, Chair of Budget and Finance, there is no report this evening. For facilities and PBC operations, I would like to just draw your attention, included in your packet on Friday was a breakdown on the heating and oil rates and a report on the 3 of 6 board walkthroughs of our buildings. The Monsoon House walkthrough, you all remember just last year, the Monsoon House was where central office was located before we moved. There was a walkthrough that took place on Monday, July 12th. That included myself, Dr. Villanueva, and Mr. Fiala, our facilities manager. And Dr. V, thank you for including that update in your board report. I want to thank you as well, Dr. Villanueva, for resubmitting the capital improvement report to the members of the Town Council. I am very concerned with the high priority projects completion, each labeled as urgent level 3 in the report. They total $5.5 million and include the Watertown High School artificial turf and track replacement, the Watertown High School roof replacement, and the John Trumbull Primary School low slope roof replacement. As stated in your new letter to the town, we absolutely as a board understand that the town must consider the economic impact of bonding on the entire community. And we further recognize that the town paused the discussion and selection of bonding of our projects due to the unanticipated COVID and special education appropriation requests made by the board. Unfortunately, those circumstances do not change the priority level of these projects. The board has a responsibility to maintain these facilities, and each board member takes that very seriously. So I appreciate that the superintendent, who originally made the request on the board's behalf in March, has restarted that conversation with the town. And I look forward to hearing about the next stage of the conversation on bonding for some of those projects. Governance and community engagement, on behalf of Mr. Murkowski, the chair, there is no report. Moving on to item M, report from the board chair. Just a few more comments to make this evening. As the district prepares for the late August reopening of our schools, the state is preparing its related COVID-19 guidance. As I continue to stay abreast of all the conference calls with the SDE and CDC, one thing has become clear. The most important thing to the state continues to be vaccinations. At our next meeting, we hope to have as our guest a member of the Torrington Area Department of Public Health to provide the most accurate and current information on the official guidance in place by then, and our area's contact tracing protocols and related decision processes. While the state prioritizes vaccinations, Watertown Public Schools' priority will continue to be providing an educational experience for our students that is safe and ensures that all of our students' social and emotional needs are met. We have an amazing group of educators who want nothing but the best for our students, and the past year has been a testament to that. They have stopped at nothing to ensure the continuation of services to our students, and on some days, they crawled into work with every last bit of their remaining energy, and they gave it to our students. We will not forget that, and hope that our community will continue to stand by our teachers, our staff, our administrators, and our district leadership as they navigate through yet another set of state requirements while doing what they do best for children. We need to clear a path for them, one that provides the resources and support they need. Let us focus on supporting them in our shared mission and cheer them on. Let's place any of our concerns regarding state requirements on the state and public health authorities who are in control of those decisions. Because no matter where we each stand as individuals, our collective goal must remain the same: meeting the academic, artistic, athletic, emotional, ethical, social, and technological needs of every student. We must each do all we can to provide and engage in meaningful conversations about student success. From Facebook to the bus stop and beyond, let us come together with our love for our community and our schools and stand side by side with those who have the greatest impact on our children. Let's make the 21-22 school year be one that is highlighted and enhanced by the best in all of us. Moving on to item N, action items. Do we have a motion regarding the heating oil contract?
Madam Chair, Madam Chair, I move that the board approve of the Dime Oil Company to provide heating oil and/or diesel to the Watertown Public Schools effective July 19th, 2021 through June 30th, 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Flaherty. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Wilk. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on to item 2. This evening, we were donated 2 very generous gifts, $3,750 to Watertown Public Schools from the LeBon family, and $1,350 from Miss Christine Ferressa, founder of Sun, Moon, and Stars, for a check to the Office of Student Services. Is there a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair. I move that the board approve of accepting the generous donations as presented and the letter of appreciation be sent to the donors.
Thank you, Mrs. Rosa. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Mrs. Easton. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on to item O, do board members have any future agenda items they'd like to suggest or any comments they wish to make at this time? Okay. Seeing none, the last round of public participation, do any members of the public wish to address the board this evening? Any virtual members of the public wish to address the board this evening? Okay, seeing none, I will request a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. The meeting is adjourned. The time is 8:22. Thank you so much. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night,
Good
everyone.
night. Thank you. I just want board members to note that we are under an hour for the first time.
That's what I was gonna say. We didn't
Yeah.
I didn't want to say anything.
How long? It's been a long time. Good night,
I was
Jennifer.
just looking at the clock.
Nice
I'm
seeing you.
amazed.
Nice to see you.
And we've seen 11:30.
Prison.
Yeah, it's you.
How are you? Have you guys met in person?
No.
Nice to
Dr.
meet you,
Villanueva, this
Genesis.
is
Nice to speak on the
Genesis.
phone with you. Thank you for coming tonight.
Glad you were able to get here.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Very good to see you.
Talk soon.
God, that's a lot. Yeah, I'm like, it's just,
I'm
reading
gonna go
these
home
things,
and
I'm like, oh my God,
rewind the
it's
Olympics. That's what I'm gonna do.
everything. I know, like, I'm like, wow.
Well, I mean, we don't need to reinvent the wheel.
Thank you.
But yeah, we can certainly customize it.
Oh, gosh.
Absolutely.
I love the face-to-face, it's
Yes.
just,
Yeah, I know, it's just so real.
it's so much about what's going on.
Had some nice positive things tonight.
I can hang on to this.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, Brian, thank you for your work with Dr. Reed.